Hi Aries, welcome to your horoscope. Today we're going to talk about an aspect that is happening throughout 2021 and it will color your full year of 2021. It's getting initiated on 17th of February, but it will have an impact on you throughout the year because it's going to be repeated 3 times over the course of 2021. Saturn will be squaring Uranus on 17th of February, and then again, middle of June, it will again be squaring. These two planets will again come together. And then finally, the third meeting, which is usually the result of the process that it has taken us through, that is happening on 24th of December. That will be the outcome of this aspect. Saturn is now in Aquarius. It entered Aquarius on 17th of December. It will stay there till 7th of March 2023. This is 2.5 years of transit, which happens once in 28 or 29 years. And Saturn is in your house of social network, your tribe, the friends, the network, your place in the society, your position, your esteem in the society, your fan base, the gains and the streams of income that you create beyond your job, the gains that are created from investment, the gains that are created by having a lucrative vision that you have. So, this is the area of your life, social network, gains, vision, your social status, which will be in focus throughout 2021 because you'll have plenty of planets which are focused on it, especially right now in February. If you're watching it in February, you have a stellium. Stellium is more than 4 planets in one house. You have stellium of planets right now sitting, creating a mission, seeding a mission for you in this part of your life. This is the seeding period, and the seeding period is happening with Saturn and Uranus making a square with each other on 17th of February, with the new moon in Aquarius that has just happened as well, about a day or two back. And around 11th of February, and you're sort of starting this new cycle of growth, new cycle of creating a vision for yourself. And the square usually comes with tremendous tension, especially the Saturn square Uranus, which is happening on 17th of February. It is the last quarter square. These are two planets which have been dancing with each other since the 80s, and now they're reaching the last quarter square of an old structure of your life being tremendously changed. And this tension that has been created as a result of resistance to that change, it is becoming the source of endless supply of creativity, endless supply of discipline to give birth to something that is your vision at this point in time. And Saturn in Aquarius is very lucrative. So, this vision is not a theoretical thing. It is something that is being put into concrete format, into concrete structure over the course of 2021. And it will come through tremendous amount of push and pull that will happen throughout this year. But as I say, I mean, nothing fruitful happen in life without a square. The square aspect or the tense aspect sort of forces us to harness this inner tension that we've been feeling, that I need to deliver something, I need to be of value, I need to be made use of fully in this life. And it helps us harness this inner tension into a passion, into a purpose that permits us to participate in a larger expression. It's essentially the feeling of being lost goes away with us giving an outlet to this dissonance within us, essentially. And this is the last quarter square of an aspect that happened around 2008 or 2010. Many of you might have experienced the shift of gears in 2000, between 2008 to 2010. It's like I need to break free. Like the old structure of life, or what you were taught is supposed to be your life, was going through a massive shift. And now becomes the time to create that life. Now becomes the time to give birth to it. Now becomes the time to essentially reach the higher octave of this vision. Saturn is an Aquarius in your house of hopes, dreams, society, friends, gains, all the way till 2023. And this is the house which is a higher octave. It's not personal or individual. We had Saturn in a house of career for the last 2.5 years, where the focus was on individual. The focus was on creating your faculties, your individual achievements, your place in the world. And now, with the 11th house where Saturn is, it becomes the time to deliver to the world, to lose yourself almost to the collective in some ways. This is the higher octave, the higher version. It's the house of contribution. So you might be joining a larger group this year, which is in which the worth of individual is not lost, but the individual's worth is used for contribution to society in a material, lucrative way. Your vision in some ways contributes to the society, creates gains for you and for larger set of people. And you might need to move away from the personal, from the private to obtain the goal. And we are still unfolding. We will continue to unfold this higher vision of ourselves over the course of next 2 years. Whole of 2021 and 2022 will be dedicated to that with Saturn over here. But Saturn is in a positive aspect with us. It will give us the discipline to make some dream come true that we have been imagining, thinking, or we were born with the dream, and now the unfolding of that will happen over the course of next 2 years. And 2021 will be the time to break out of our old values to be able to deliver that. This is not driven by personal concern. There's a universal concern, a universal problem, a universal contribution that we would be going towards. 11th house, where Saturn is right now for us, it has its Uranian side, it has its innovative side where you sort of are working on something unique, something scientific, something psychological, something technical, something which breaks the market in some way, like a discovery of sorts, where group involvement and group contribution is there. But there's also a superficial side of 11th house, which is the social acceptance part of it, that when I'm creating something, how much of the social acceptance am I getting out of that? Superficial friendships. When Saturn is in this area of our house, we almost are required to remove all of that. We're required to remove the thought process around social acceptance. How much popularity am I getting? It's sort of where you have to karmically do things because it's your karma to contribute to the society in some ways. You have to in some ways selflessly work on it for some time without the expectations of immediate gains to some extent, where you're required to remove certain friendships which are superficial in nature. Saturn over here makes you a little bit of a lone wolf, but it's a wolf which is lone. So you're not sad about being lonely. You need to be lonely to be able to focus your energies towards your goal, towards your vision. And you will find yourself not being able to sort of fit in any artificial social structure because you're looking for a deeper association with people. So a lot of superficial friendships to some extent, or the friendships and acquaintances that you have outgrown, they will just move away to some extent. And right now, if you're listening to this in February, Mercury is retrograde right now. Mercury is the planet that rules our thinking. So you might be actively detoxing your social circle. You might be reviewing who's your friend. You might be reviewing who and what is consuming your energy. Where Saturn is, we conserve energy. So you will not waste your breath. You will not waste your time this year in people who are not part of your future vision. And you should not. Your social associations will be mental in nature, in the sense that you'll connect through the through the same thought process, through the same vision, through intellectual conversations. You would want to learn from your friends. You would want to learn from the platform that you connect to. It's Aquarius is a little bit elitist, even. So the people you want to connect with would be two or three rugs higher than where you are right now, because you're looking to rise up essentially, and even in social status or in knowledge or in understanding or in innovation, they would be a little bit higher from where you are. So it's not a time to become a follower. This is a placement of a leader, a person who leads with his ideals, his or her ideals and dreams. But it's the time to seek deeper sharing with people. There'll be a big shift in your social status and who you connect with, your social values, how you look at social circles, the peers that you have, that will completely change with this. Many of the people I know during this transit, they get very politically active during this time, or socially active during this time. But Saturn is all about practical values, practical ideas. So you would sort of have a pressure to create this into something concrete. Like if there's a vision that you have of society, you sort of would be required to put that into action versus just thinking about it. And that's where Saturn Uranus square comes into play. Uranus is in Taurus, which is a earth sign, so it sort of is going to ground a little bit, as contradictory as it feels. But Uranus is in Taurus will try to sort of say, let's put this into something concrete. And Uranus is in your house of values. Your values are evolving now. How and what you think about money and possessions and assets, that is completely shifting. And Uranus is there for a longer run. It is there till 2026 in your house of money. So money is a means to freedom. Money is a means to feel free. Money is a means to not be fixed in a place. It's supposed to buy you freedom. It's supposed to buy you time. It's the other way around. Like you're supposed to not trade time for money at this point in time, and you realize that the scarce resource is time and not money. So you would start spending your valuable time in associations and aims and visions that are worth your life, that are worth your air, that are worth your time. And Saturn over here will connect you to the nerve of a social group during this year, with the social group that you're meant to either help, a social group or a platform that you're supposed to lead, a social group or a platform that you're supposed to uplift, or a social group or a platform you're supposed to innovate for. What you create is for that group and not for your individual pleasure. So you're creating things, and when you are in that process of creation during this year, keep that in your mind that what you're creating is for consumption for an audience. It's for a consumption for the other. Don't narrow or play down your vision this year. I would repeat that. Don't narrow down or play down your own vision out of fear this year. Your path is unfolding this year. This is the house of bigger vision. This is where we move away from small value, small thinking, small attachment to a few dollars, to a bigger vision, to bigger gains, to a larger group, to a base that is. And this is not very, if you have not seen, please take a look at the introduction that I did for February, if you have not looked at that, because I speak about it, that Aquarius is not about having a hot cup of cocoa with friend. This is your creativity and your vision and your ideas and your innovation that you're sharing with a large set of people. And it's almost like you're a channel to that group. You're not you're not attaching a lot of emotions when you're doing that. This has to be a little bit more intellectual, less emotional when it's being done. So don't let your fear or other emotions narrow down your vision this year. This is a placement that is linked with hard luck with friends. So there will be a little bit of negative emotions that will come from that, but you're moving away from one-on-one connections with a mass connection. You have to keep that in mind. It becomes almost like, as I said, you're moving to higher octave. It becomes almost like your talents are for the others and not for sharing with one or two people. Similarly, your time, your breath, your body, your faculties, they sort of are for the others, for a participation in group life when Saturn is here. And let that mold you. Let that create this non blood family, this family which has a common intent, a shared purpose, as you do. And you would have to deal with some of the past. And as I said, if you're looking at this in February, you will be dealing with the values of your friends, your acquaintances, your old friends, and you might be figuring that out, that your vision doesn't fit the old people in your life. And it could be your older sibling, it could be your friends, it could be the acquaintances of the past which are pulling you back in who you were versus what you need to be to move forward. So you'll have to deal, maybe even cut ties mentally, physically, in terms of your time spent with them here in order to deal with the future that you have ahead of yourself. You would deal with social sensitivity on race, on color, on class, on gender, on politics, on minority rights, on equality, on things that are bigger, that impact larger set of people. And this is the house of ideas. So your practical work would require to hobnob, talk with people ahead of time ideas. So you have to be with the people who are able to do that, which deal with collective, who deal with where you gotta be, not where you have been. This is the house of dreams, of ideals, of defining and refining what you want and create a structure to get there. So it's not a year to limit your dreams, limit your ideals, but it is the year to narrow it down. Narrow it down to the one dream you seem to not let go, that keeps coming back to you. Saturn gives you the perseverance to get it, to stay with it, and not give that dream up. What you feel most connected to, were afraid to go after before, want more than anything. In your heart, you know that that's your true and one legacy. But you fear to go after that. It puts you on a stage. It puts you on a stage amongst people who you think you cannot get to right now. So it's it's two or three rugs above where you are right now. Without letting fear block you and letting discipline guide you, you gotta become part of that dream. You gotta become part of that futuristic, ahead of the time, ahead of you reality. It's a people house. So you would learn to be with people. You would have to be with people to achieve your dreams. You would learn to be with people who are completely different from you, who are completely, to some extent, different from others as well. This is a unique tribe. This is not a popular tribe. This is a tribe which is away from other people. This is a set of people who, they sometimes this is a house of misfits. So your friends are people who don't fit in the normal society sometimes over here, or they're the people who are just unique, who are brilliant, who are, crazy in their own way, who are, because you have to be a little bit crazy to dream of the future. So at this point in time, you will link up with strangers. Link up with strangers who are working on things that open your mind to a new world. There will be impulse to start multiple things with them, to start up multiple projects, multiple businesses, multiple websites, multiple trading platforms, multiple sources of gains. This is the house where we sort of first dabble in many, many things before we narrow down what is our vision. So there will be a bit of structuring, restructuring, going back and forth with them. And some of it might have happened last year. We spoke about it in May of 2020 as well. February of 2020 as well, when this aspect was showing its preview between Feb to around May of 2020, when Saturn was here briefly. It was like an introduction, a sampler of what's about to come. So a little bit of it, like there will be impulse to do a lot more. You would find yourself scattered to start with. But as I said in the introduction video of February, Stellium likes focus. Stellium does not likes clutter. So you'll have to clean up a little bit. It doesn't mean that you cannot run three businesses. It doesn't mean that you cannot run a side hustle next to your job. It doesn't mean that you cannot be connected with multiple platforms or using multiple platforms. It just means that you'll have to create a structure around the multiple. If you have a multiple business or multiples, you'll have to figure out if you can create a structure around it. And they should be directionally going to the same place, ideally. They should be directionally leading to your calling in some ways. You need to have a value linked purpose attached to all of them. And you need to have a plan. Saturn is here. You need to have a plan. You need to break it up in actionable steps, and don't let fear be your guide here, because you will be doing something which is bigger than who you are right now, and there's a reason. That's what is motivating you, because you can feel the future pulse of society and you want to be part of that. You want to be rewiring the society. You want to be rewriting the rules. You want to be part of the new rules that are being written in the society. Saturn in 11th house is like a father of an organization, of a network of people. And it's sort of not preaching that set of people. It's taking it together with a vision that all of them can dream together. It is less about one-on-one interaction. It's about overseeing a network, like a head of a non-profit, like a large publishing house, like a large network, a university. More humanitarian, the better. More employees, the better. More volunteers, the better. The more collective, more group, the wider the reach, the better. And don't let fear or loneliness get in the way. It's not the time for individual. It's not the time for looking for a hot cup of cocoa with your friend. It's okay to not discuss all your ideas with somebody over here. I spoke about it in the introduction video as well. It's the time where you have to believe in your journey and let the group impact be your guide over here, versus, at this point in time, taking individual viewpoint and individual criticism into your vision, because it's in making right now. As one of the teachers I follow says, that when a child is learning how to walk, you don't keep telling them, oh, what a stupid guy, he can't walk, he keeps falling down. He's learning to walk. So rules are being rewritten over here. You're learning how to walk. At this point in time, you really don't want individual opinions to color your dreams here on what you can do, because you're trying to expand it. It's unique. It is not for everybody. It is not for mass consumption yet. And this is the house which grows. It's the house of rewards. It's the house of recognitions. It's the house of recognitions which sometimes come later in life, which come sometimes even post you to some extent. Doesn't mean that what you're creating will not be gainful, but it will stay way beyond you. It will be your legacy, essentially, because it's sort of a dedication to a collective ideal. You're learning to take responsibility of your legacy, of your blessings, of your gifts. And I spoke about it in the introduction again, that when a stellium happens in a house like that, there's a lot of energy, a lot of time that goes in that house. You pretty much are like on a mission to do this. You get obsessive even about it, even lost in it to some extent. What happens in that case is that the opposite house has to be your balance, and you'll find that throughout this year, that as you're learning to do this in an organized way, as you're trying to achieve your life's vision, your goal, your recognition, we could uh, sort of lose out the other side, which is our uniqueness, our need to do what we love, I need to have a personal touch in what you're creating. It's like an artist when they start publishing something on social network, right? After some time, we start losing that artist's color, and the art starts reflecting a lot more of what the people are asking from him versus what he thinks is right for the people to some extent. So there's a sense of um, individuality in your creation that gets lost to some extent. Yes, you have to work on the groups, you have to be part of the contribution to the society, and your personal goals to some extent have to be shaped according to that contribution. But there is a balance from the opposite side that needs to come, and that comes from the Leo side of your chart, and that has to do with your passion, your love, your uh, which is sort of the driver to go there. It's even your own ego to some extent. It's your pride, and you don't want what you're contributing to become a part of a herd, losing up your uniqueness. This very much holds true if you're doing your own business or contributing something creative to some extent. So fulfillment by focusing on the child within you, on focusing on what your individuality is, do something uh, that brings that out. So when you blog, you share, you publish, you do something, you watch some injustice done, and you're sort of giving back to the group who helped you, let it be a part of your individual light as well. And at the same time, this may not be that you have to merge the two, it could be something, two things in parallel that you do. So for example, if at this point in time this is the house of gains, you might say a trader, you decide to become a trader. A trader losing its touch with doing something creative becomes really, sapped by it. And you'll find that the goal can, or the vision can become very dry for you if you're not doing the other side, the creative side, or if you have the children, this is the house of child within you, or the children that you have, spending time with children. Aries are very proud of their children. They like to, their child themselves. They love to have fun. They love to have that thing about being on the center stage of a party. So when you have Saturn in your house of network, and you sort of, filtering out friends to some extent, you lose touch with joy, you lose touch with love, you lose touch with self-esteem sometimes, because you're giving so much of yourself to what you're doing. So you need to have time for sports, for romance, for pursuits, for fun, for children, for entertaining the child within, and you have to imbibe that as a part of the vision that you're doing, because otherwise the vision will become a chore for you, and it will not be as long lasting. And you'll learn this during the year on how to balance this axis, because the axis right now, especially if you're watching this in February, is very much tilted towards doing that work, doing that job, doing that, creating that network, becoming that group leader, creating a vision, becoming that sort of the change agent or the coordinator of a cause or a vision that you have about, an organization that you're heading, or a creative pursuit that you have. And the other side, the love part of it, the passion part of it, the children part of it, the fun part of it, might have taken a little bit of a backseat. So when a stellium happens, we need to balance the other side as well. You would find yourself interacting with larger networks. There will be a radical amount of activity this year. You've not seen this level of activity before when it comes to people. And when that happens, we sort of are connecting with groups, we're connecting with a lot of people, getting a lot of of our messaging through the network. In that period, our loved ones, our heart can become a little bit of, it's not being taken care of, and you're participating in social, in a society evolution, or contributing to the social aspiration part of us. It's a good time for you to sort of join a professional organization during this year, join a platform, where you can share ideas or your skill set with a large set of people. It's the time when, after detoxing the circles, which might be happening right now, you would find a network of acquaintances of common groups. So when that happens, there's a lot of gains that can come from that network. There's a lot of gains that can come from social network, by connecting with people online, by getting tips online on what you want to do, even joining some sort of knowledge groups, which can teach you what you want to do. And the square of Saturn and Uranus that is happening, you'll find that the obstacle to get there would be your own old values. There's a way that Aries, as much as they are pioneer in the society, they have Taurus, which is a stable sign in their house of values and money. So we want the money to come in a stable fashion. We want the money to come from a known source. So when Uranus comes here, and Uranus is here, as I said, till 2026, you're sort of like, money has to come from unique sources. Our whole approach to earnings, assets, values needs to change. We need to rise above the traditional over here, being even okay to go in a different direction, like online sources of money, or money which is not bound or driven by a single corporation, where the money is coming from independent sources, and there are ups and downs that happen in money. And money is sometimes earned through insights, through brilliance, through intuition, versus building something, old and traditional, doing it sort of through ways which are new. As I said, there are a lot of careers which we don't even know about, which will get created in 2021. Money will come from independent sources, from freelancing, by not relying on consistent sources this year. So you'll find this process of taking courage, essentially taking this, having faith in your, radical faith in your talents, to be able to create material sources out of what you're going to do. You learn how to do it in a responsible, in a productive way, where this need for freedom, need to even prove to yourself that you can create something substantial by yourself without the assistance of a brand name, assistance of a large corporation on your head, through your own skill set. You sort of are proving a point to yourself, and that would be a driving force for you, proving to yourself this faith in yourself, and radically shifting your talent set, the skills by which you earn money. That skills will be rapidly changed over the course of 2021, and this process will keep changing, because the skill set probably that you're learning, it needs a continuous learning curve. It could be because it's linked with technology, or it's linked with something that changes in information rapidly. So Uranus in your house of skills that yield money till 2026 means that you will be learning, relearning, learning, relearning. There's some sort of a subject that requires continuous upgrade in your talent set, which you'll have to get involved in, and it's something that you're not used to. So in this new goal, this new vision that you have, the challenge is in this learning curve, and you may not have all the skills right now to get there. You are experiencing a new vision, and as I said, it could be like 2 or 3 rugs away from where you are. So you need to reskill, or you need to rapidly, have a steep learning curve over here to do this. You learn how to do this in a structured way. You learn to have the right sources of information coming to you at this stage. The other thing is that your values will clash. Your old values will clash with the new set of people that you're going to. So there's this old set of it's like your friends, they're earning still from traditional sources of income, and you're moving to a completely different way of being. Maybe you're bringing your own business into being. So there's a dissonance between who you were in the past, and who you hung out with in the past, and who you're becoming right now. And the challenge is not those people, challenge is your own shift in material values that you need to do. You have to shift your own values, and that's what is going to claw you back, move forward, claw you back, move forward, and that closure is required. And you'll find the next 2 weeks when Mercury is retrograde all the way till 20th and then goes direct after 20th. So you'll find this process happening during this week, especially. And once you move to a new support, it's almost like the new dream has not revealed itself in its fullness, and that's where faith comes into play, right? Jupiter is in your house of vision. You need to have faith in your future. You need to have faith in your vision. You will be given faith in your vision. You'll be given some sort of small gifts of people, small gifts of gains, small gifts of some reciprocity from the platform that you're serving in some ways, to show you that your vision has legs in it. There'll be a lot of faith that will come in your vision as the year is going by, and you start releasing those old values once you get the grounding going forward. And this process of Saturn square Uranus on 17th of February is sort of just the start of it. You're seeding that new thing right now. We had a new moon just now at 23 degree of Aquarius on 11th of February. So especially if you're born around 13th of April, this is a perfect 2 weeks. If you're watching this in February, it's the perfect time to sort of seed a new vision for you. And expect resistance. Expect resistance. It's something that you're doing where you're not there yet. It's not a resistance even from somebody external. It is a resistance from your own traditional values. And as you work through those kinks, you work through those issues internally that are holding you back, you become more comfortable with it. And it's possible that you might need to have maybe something which is on a side coming as a regular income to you to start with, to give you that comfort to start with. But as you move forward, especially in June, when we have this aspect in the second time after your new moon, you'll find that you're evolving to the other side. You'll find this vision getting more clearer. You find that over the course of next 6 months, this is becoming more firmer as Saturn goes back and forth over this. Saturn is going to be this year going between around 7 degree to 13 degree on this square, which is around last week of March, first week of April. So if you especially have planets in that period in the 7 degree to 13 degree, or if you're born around last week of March, first week of April, you'll experience this back and forth, back and forth, back and forth a couple of times this year, all the way till June. When you're making it more firm, you're getting more firm in that vision, you'll feel a little bit of, versions of this come by. I feel that if you're born in more like second week of April, especially around 13th of April, I think because Saturn has been here, especially in your house of career last year. This is like a little bit more firm, I feel, for 2020s, if you have planets in your 20s, 20 degrees of Aries, which is around 13th of April born or so. And I think now is a good time to see that and see when your new moon happens around 11th of April, this fully panning out in front of you and moving forward with the new life. So that's what I have, Aries. Good luck for that. As I said, balance it out with the other side of it. Otherwise, it becomes a little bit, Aquarius can become a little bit dry. It's a cold, dry weather, right? So when we have stellium, a lot of planets in Aquarius, it can dry up a little bit. So keep it fun, keep it happy. Do consciously the things that bring out the joy in what you're doing, in what you're about to do. The mission can become a little bit more obsessive in nature, like if you're trying to be a group networker, coordinator, setting up a platform, a group leader sort. It can get a little bit lonely. Playing with your children, spending time with your children, doing something creative, or making what you're doing more creative can completely change the whole color of how this year and how your launch will go about. So good luck for that, Aries, and I'll see you in the next video.